Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's finally here where I've compiled all of my Fear the Darkness videos, strategies for the first run that I did to share with you guys. Now, normally in the background, I've got some sort of just like MP4 playing and just, not really worried about it. I'm just talking, introducing the video, etc. But in this case, I'm actually autoing Fear the Darkness right now. So I've been doing this thing so many different times that I've kind of gotten it down pretty well. There's a lot of different teams you can use, and there's not necessarily a right one or a wrong one, but there's definitely, well, let me take that back. There's some definitely way more right and some way more wrong answers. So hopefully in this video, where I compile everything I did and kind of share a link with you, to help you in your run. I mentioned later, I did some speed runs that really, told me that, the teams and strats I were using really solid. So my hope is that you guys can use this video to help yourself get through this, mode of the game, to get yourself Ultron. He's still a beast in the game. I foresee him being a beast probably for the entirety of the game. He's just super strong, and you got to have him for so many different game modes. So at the end of this video, I am going to do a giveaway. So make sure to stick around for that, and hope you guys enjoy the video and it helps you get your Ultrons. Alright, so finally getting to this Fear the Darkness compilation video. It was probably about 2 months ago or so that I was doing speed runs through this thing in the timed version to try to see how quick I could essentially do it just for fun. I got to be, I don't remember if I ended up being top 10 or not, but I know I was definitely top 15, getting it at under 4 hours. I think it was around 3.5 or so. So definitely got a good strategy of pounding through this thing. It was just something that you could just kind of fly through eventually. Now, this guide is more about the first time through. I'm not, because if you're smart, you can use Ultron to go through this timed version, and that's 100% what I did when I did those. But the team that I had for this first run was, still the core of that team to help me get through. So for those of you who are curious, I did use the typical kind of Rocket, Groot, Minerva Star-Lord keys, and then security. So I loved that dynamic. Obviously there's people you can kind of plug and play, Fury, some people like JJ, etc. But that's the team I use. That's the team I still promote. I mean, you'll see in a second how many attempts and days in general in this. And some of the days I just essentially used a little bit of cores and just win again. So it was less than the day shown. So anyway, having said that, let me explain what this spreadsheet is behind me, what I'm kind of giving you guys, and hopefully how much it'll help. So ultimately what the spreadsheet behind me has on it is all of the links to every node that I did the first time through. So you can see every single node and the link I did to it and what attempt it is. And then on the side, I've got what day it is that I was attempting that node. So if it was like a string of one-shots, or if it was my second, third day or whatever, you can see how many overall days. The attempt on that particular node, if it was the first attempt, second attempt, fifth attempt, or whatever it might be, and then a general strategy. So one of the things I want to mention here, you guys can see in this is, Star-Lord and Minerva are keys in this run. You have to be able to me, I think they're total musts. I love the security taunt, the Groot Rocket dynamic with, his passive being maxed with slows. Rocket's special getting the taunt on Groot to be able to do more slows. Some people are, down on damage in Fear the Darkness. I personally liked it, and sometimes Rocket gives some offense up. So I don't know. I really liked it. So that's the combo I used. I already mentioned the other kind of tunes you could kind of plug and play there. For me, another big part is be smart about how you kill someone. And what I mean by that is you might have 5, enemies on a screen, and you bring one all the way down to almost 0 and then kill them, and then a full wave drops, and these other 4 are all full health. So you'll now have 7 or 8 enemies all at full health. The best way to do that is bring them all kind of down equally as best you can, and then finish one off, or finish them all off so you get the next wave. It makes it so much easier when you can do this. So use msf.gg. I believe they still have the wave drops there, or watch the videos and kind of make some notes for yourself. That's kind of a lot of work, but it does help and will save you a crazy amount of time if you understand that. So that's one of the huge keys in this. And then kind of like the final overarching strategy is be smart about how you wind down the nodes when you've won. You always want to make sure that you've got all your energy for the next node, specifically with Minerva. you want to make sure her ult is always ready on the next node. Even though you don't typically need it on the start of a first node or start of a node, you want to make sure it's ready. So as you're down to the last 2, maybe 3 characters, 2 to 3 enemies, and you've got that node 1, what you want to do is essentially just basic if you can. You might be able to use rockets, special because it's a high damage and it's short cooldown. But you really want to kind of just basic through that if possible, so that way all your energy is full. So make sure you're doing that as you wind down the nodes. So you can see on the nodes, there's an overall, what is there, 16 nodes, okay? So I've got 16 full nodes. I've got the name of the character that's on each node. You can see I had a stretch from node 1 through 10, or 1 through 9, that I one-shot all of those. It wasn't until I got to node 10, which is the first 20+ mil node, that I had to take a second attempt. And then on the next node, I actually had to take a couple attempts as well. And I think some of this might have been strategy. I know node 11, that one I couldn't get past. I think it was the 3rd wave that I kept dying. My red stars weren't high enough, or my RNG wasn't lucky enough. Node 12, that was another 1 attempt. But then you got into the Brawler node. Miss Marvel, node 13, that is difficult. It took me a couple attempts there. And then Mordo took me, that node 14, that took me a couple attempts. That one too, there was a spot where I thought maybe I could have played that a little bit different and better and gotten that just a one-shot, but I wasn't able to my first go. The Hand Sentry node, I totally misplayed this one the first time through. I really think that it's smart to focus down the Hand Sentry and the Hand Sorceress while trying to CC those snipers. I didn't really try to focus those guys the first time through, so it took me 3 attempts to do that one. And then the final node, Ultron, it took me a whopping 6 attempts there. I still stick to the strategy I've got written in here, which I'll go over these strategies generally in a second, but that node is tough. Eventually when I got through the timed one, I could kind of get to a spot where I could auto it, but you'd still kind of have to watch it. That node is very, very hard. So don't get frustrated on that node. And you can see it took me a total of quote unquote 12 days. Again, some of these I used some cores on. I think it took me about a week to get through this, so that, I might have I wasn't going to use 100 cores on these, but I had all my gear ready for Ultron as soon as I beat this the first time through. So I was ready to hit it. So again, what I'm about to explain is stuff that's generally in the strategy here. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but it will be on this spreadsheet that I link in the description below. But I want to kind of go over this real quickly. The first few nodes are honestly so easy. I'm not even going to really address those necessarily in this video. You guys can check those out. The first one that I want to kind of get into is that Deadpool Node. There's Ant-Mans, there's Spider-Mans, Hulk taunting. It is a tough node. When the Luke Cages and Daredevils are out, they're giving each other, multiple turns of taunt and defense up and counterattack. So that can get tough. And then you've got the Deadpool's kind of, jumping around, hitting everybody. So I say try to CC, Spidey when possible, and kill Ant-Man to get rid of those ability blocks and slows as much as you can. The Red Skull node, this was the one where I was talking about before. There's waves. These waves are very just structured. I think it was the 3rd wave that came that really kind of knocked me on my butt. The AoEs in that, Yondu, the Hydra Rifle Trooper, those are the ones that really kind of knocked me down because the Hydra Armor Guard had those taunts. And I just wasn't necessarily able to get around it because I didn't have a great clear with my specific team. So, if you have a clear there, you might be, like a JJ, would be great there. Or if you have, Fury and you've got the operative summon, she could potentially clear some of those buffs. So that part, I definitely struggle with some. The Miss Marvel node, the Brawler node, to me, you want to focus Strange first. He's a pain in the butt. He's flipping buffs. He's potentially resin if you leave him around too long. And then focus Miss Marvel. CC the other Spidey as much as you can, the other brawlers, but focus Miss Marvel, because if you focus the other ones, you're just non-stop getting destroyed. So that's my recommendation there. She will probably heal, so you're gonna have to get through that, but it's better than getting her taunt and jumping back and forth between the characters there. This Mordo node, this one, there were some Mordos, some Hawkeyes, the Koras, Ronins. This one got tough because of the heal blocks, you know, and also the ability blocks from Ronin. You know, Punisher's alts were just kind of massacred me, honestly. So it's for this one, it's smart to know when you want to use your Minerva alt. Be smart about that as best you can. Hand Sentry Node, I kind of mentioned that earlier. Be smart about who you focus, and you know, just prioritize there. And then finally, the Ultron Node. So the way I approach this, and I think this is the right way to do it. I've known many people who kind of focus the same way. Kill Pyro first. The Pyro in that bottom corner, kill him first. You're gonna take a pounding from the trooper. Just get through it. CC Spider-Man when you can, and if you can, CC that particular trooper with any blinds. The quicker you get through that Pyro, and then, in my opinion, that trooper, the quicker you can get onto Ultron and bring him down. Now, when you're fighting Ultron or attacking Ultron, you're going to be hitting from that other trooper. The reason I like to go to Ultron next is because if you can get him down and get those summons out of the way, it makes things so much better. Problem is, you've also got these shield securities. Now, for me, every time I've kind of done this, the shield securities kind of organically go down just because they taunt from Ultron's minions, you know, dropping, and so they kind of keep dropping. The key here is you don't want to take some of these other enemies, not the summons, but the other enemies on the screen. You don't want to kill them so that the next set of Pyro comes. It makes it way too hard. So try to really balance that so you get the Ultron down before the next wave is at risk. It's fine to leave some of those summons there if possible, because the more tunes on the board, the less likely it is to get that next wave. So once you get Ultron down, this node isn't quite easy mode, but it's closer to it. And again, focus the Pyros, the Troopers, you know, Merc Lieutenants and Venoms. You know, obviously I'm naming everybody at this point, but those are the ones who tend to give me problems. I always try to CC the Venoms and Spideys, because I just don't like those debuffs being spread. And then, you know, eventually you get it down towards the end, and you can get it to the point where you can almost auto, well, not first time through, but you'll auto it future runs with Ultron on your team. So at that point, you collect your orange mats, you get your Ultron, and hopefully you saved enough gear for him. You know, if you didn't, you got to start planning maybe a little better for that. It can go really quick with the right team, so be smart about it. So having said all that, let's check and see where our auto run's going. It's just going on behind us. We're not even paying attention. And put a nice little bow on this video. All right, so these guys are still going behind me, but it looks like it's going pretty well from what I can see. So pretty happy about that. Again, just they're doing their thing. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. Again, I hope this video was really helpful. I try to do these to really kind of help the community. Oh, sorry, strange, you missed. You know, just improve your game or do something a little bit more efficiently or a little bit more structured, etc. So for the giveaway, what I want to ask is, like, if we can get this video to get 500 likes, and on top of that, if you comment below on who you think's to blame for this Disney Sony Spider-Man quote-unquote debacle, then you will be entered for a $50 Apple gift card or Google Play Store store of your choosing to use basically on whatever you want. So 500 likes, and if you guys comment below specifically on who you think's to blame, that's all you got to do. Just pick one or the other. Is it Sony? I guess you could pick three if you want, but to me it was Sony or Marvel/Disney. If you want to break up Marvel/Disney, whatever. But let me know who you think's to blame. I'm curious. My hope is that Spidey stays in the MCU. And as always, appreciate you guys stopping by. You know, hammer down that like button, click the subscription button, you know, notification bell, share with your friends, etc. And I hope to see you guys again soon.